In my analysis of the ending sequence of our short film, When the Tides Rise and Fall, I see this passage as a quiet emotional resolution, like tides gently receding. Through stream of consciousness narration, I read Liang journey as one of gradually understanding and respecting his mother's hidden choices after discovering her secret. In this video, I will explain why, in my view, the scene was shot this way, from framing and lighting to editing and sound design. The sequence begins with a perfectly centered medium-long shot of mother and son sitting side by side against the endless sea. To me, this symmetrical composition suggests that Liang An is finally sharing his mother's horizon. Psychologically, he is moving closer to her inner world. The fixed camera and vast negative space of the ocean create a sense of inner expansion that, I argue, directly serves his growing self-awareness. In the dialogue section, I noticed the classic over-the-shoulder alternation with close-ups and soft foreground bokeh. For me, this rhythm captures Liang An's hesitant probing. "Mom, how have you and Dad been lately?" And his mother's tender deflections, culminating in her smiling, "My Liang An has grown up." The shallow depth of field keeps my eye on their micro-expressions, while natural sunlight rims her face with warm light. I interpret this glow as a visual metaphor for the warmth that finally replaces Liang An's earlier hesitation. When Liang An stands and walks away, back to camera, the shot is deliberately long and almost motionless. In my reading, this extended duration forces me, as a viewer, to inhabit his act of letting go in real time. As the waves grow louder, Schoenberg's transfigured night enters. I chose to highlight this piece in my analysis because its own journey, from D minor shadows to D major redemption, perfectly mirrors what I see in Liang An. A slow transfiguration from quiet shock to respectful release. The dissolve from beach to forest is, to me, the most delicate moment in the film. As Liang An shrinks into the horizon and his mother's hair moves gently in the wind, a gesture I read as her own release, softly gives way to him, walking alone up a forest path, with the title emerging. I find this dissolve functioning as a psychological bridge. The beach represents external reconciliation with societal norms, while the forest is the private, almost sacred space of inner growth. The shared centered, receding back composition makes the transition seamless. When Liang An walks farther along the beach, he is surrounded by bustling crowds and is in fact moving toward them. Yet when he steps into the forest, he must enter alone and confront the vast expanse of wilderness before him. The centered and succinct composition, the subdued and cool color palette, and the stark contrast between the immense forest and the figure of Liang An, so small he nearly becomes a single dot, symbolize his psychological journey from the pressure of the greater self, shaped by social norms, to the struggle and effort of the smaller self, defined by individual identity. This scene invites the audience to pause and experience together the moment of Liang An's inner elevation. Finally, I return Liang An to the very first location of the film, using nearly identical footage and framing. In my interpretation, what began as anxious contemplation now feels like serene acceptance. This loop also blurs time. Is the growth a matter of days or a single inner instant? I believe this ambiguity is the sequence's greatest strength. It turns a personal coming of age into something timeless. Ultimately, I see every restrained choice, long takes, soft light, dissolves in silence, as serving Liang An's delicate psychological arc. For me, this ending is not about answers, but about the quiet beauty of choosing respect. That is why, in my view, we shot it exactly this way.